Put that together somehow is undermined. That the fact that that can continue is partly a result of the fact that we have no public conversation about the right to water. I think it's the fact that water is something that is simply impossible to live without, and yet some people almost live without it because they have so little access to it, and certainly so little access to clean water, that you end up with the I think as a society we haven't yet confronted the deep inequalities that are in water, and that this is getting worse because especially the water, as the water table falls, we are getting into situations where some people, ones who are not particularly connected to urban infrastructure, will just not have access to it. So all of that was in my mind, but I wanted to be able to maybe create a substrate for a public conversation which didn't start with hitting people on the head with the facts, and it needed I felt a lightness that Sanath can bring that would make the conversation maybe a little bit. Start from you throw the facts at people, but you don't throw it. You hit them on the head with it. They see them, and maybe that's a way to get people to understand that these things are not simply a matter of just asserting that there should be this or that outcome. It's a matter of a series of policies. Water is really policies about the pricing of agricultural power, policies about the support of certain agricultural the prices of certain crops but not others. All of that feeds into the water crisis, and as does in the second of the water wars, as does the construction boom, which is what has been happening in Shantiniketan. All of these things feed into it in different ways, and from both sides. In fact, the construction boom both creates demand for water and creates sort of barriers to the flow of water, which often creates waterlogging along with water shortage. So all of that, I think, where we came out of, I would say it was not so much impelled by the contemporary concerns at all. It was more, I think, Sanath and I we had worked together before, and I think one thing that I appreciate in Sanath is his ability to take something that potentially heavy and dead serious and infuse some lightness and life into it. And I really think that's a great gift. And I think many of these conversations that we need to have in India, water is absolutely the first and most obvious one, because it's one where there is vast inequalities and vast waste and lots of water shortage. And all of that together somehow is undermined. That the fact that that can continue is partly a result of the fact that we have no public conversation about the right to water. I think it's the fact that water is something that is simply impossible to live without, and yet some people almost live without it because they have so little access to it.